How to conduct a more effective reflective dialogue, a proposal for an online training for our specialists. This proposal will cover the following topics. Why is this training needed? Resources for information. Method of designing and evaluating the presentation. Elements of the presentation. A discussion on the platform for presenting the training. So, why is this training needed? We've found 4 pieces of evidence that make it clear to us that additional learning opportunities are required. First, candidates have stated in the verification visit follow-up survey that they'd like to have more of a career plan after the reflective dialogue. Second, in the PDS survey, specialists reported feeling unsure of how to get a candidate to share more during visits. Third, while observing a verification visit, we saw a reflective dialogue that wasn't successful in helping the candidate plan her career goals. And last, while reviewing the initial training materials, we realized that we don't give any nuanced instruction on the how of conducting a reflective dialogue. In the end, we realized we owe it to our specialists and the candidates to provide more guidance about what a successful coaching session looks like during the reflective dialogue. Training information resources. We are using 2 sources for the GROW model of coaching. The first is a website called MindTools. MindTools is one of the world's most popular digital and on-demand career and management learning solutions. They help millions of people each year by providing access to more than 2,400 resources like articles, podcasts, videos, infographics, quizzes, book insights, expert interviews, and more. The second is the Making Business Matter website. Making Business Matter is a soft skills training provider from the UK. They provide e-learning, articles, white papers, guides, and more on all sorts of business soft skills, including coaching. We're basing 2 of the lessons in this training on their list of top 10 effective coaching skills. We'll be teaching more about listening and empathizing. We do hope to create future trainings that will address the other 8 skills, but for now, we're focusing on the 2 that we feel our specialists need the most urgently. Brené Brown. Brené Brown is a research professor at the University of Houston. She's spent the past 2 decades studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. She's written 5 New York Times bestsellers about her findings. We'll be using an excerpt from a TED Talk she gave about empathy versus sympathy. The RSA. RSA stands for Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures, and Commerce. Their mission is to enrich society through ideas and action. Supported by their 29,000 fellows, they share ideas, carry out cutting-edge research, and build networks and opportunities for people to collaborate. The excerpt of Brené Brown's TED Talk that we're showing has been animated by the RSA and makes for a great, quick learning tool. IECL. IECL trains, coaches, and leads. They offer accredited coaching training programs, leadership development, and executive coaching across Australia and Asia Pacific. We are using a video from one of their leaders explaining active listening. Sage Edge. Sage Edge is a website that features an array of tools and resources for review and study, and is designed to keep instructors and students on the cutting edge of their teaching and learning experience. We are using worksheets from them that allow the specialists to reflect on how they use empathy and listening skills in their reflective dialogues. Planning the training. We'll be using the Dick and Carey instruction model to plan this training. This model consists of 9 steps. We'll go through each of them as they pertain to the training. Step 1. Identify instructional goals. The goal is to make sure our specialists are strong in leading a coaching conversation during the reflective dialogue portion of the verification visit. Step 2. Instructional analysis. We already know that the specialists are aware of the ethical and contractual responsibilities of being a PD specialist. They've been trained on and are conducting all steps of the verification visit before, during, and after the actual observation. They are supporting the CDA candidates during the visit. We know they are using their expertise in ECE to help further the candidate through this final step of the credentialing process. Acknowledging all of that, what skills or knowledge do they need in order to learn from this training? They'll need a working knowledge of the PDS manual, conflicts of interest and other ethical considerations, contractual responsibilities of a PDS, and how to conduct a full verification visit. Step 3. Entry behaviors and learner characteristics. Who are these learners? We know that our specialists are committed, intrinsically motivated, highly educated, ECE experts, hard workers, and compassionate. Step 4. Performance objectives. After this training, learners will be able to 1. Increase the productivity level of the reflective dialogue so that the candidate feels like they have a better plan for their career and the specialist has a good understanding of the candidate's ability and capacity. 2. Recognize the importance of active listening during the sessions. 3. Demonstrate an understanding of empathy and how it applies to the candidates during the reflective dialogue. Step 5. Criterion Reference Test Items. 1. Specialists will turn in their list of questions from the end of Task 1, which will allow us to deduce whether they've grasped the concept of the GROW model. 2. Specialists will take a quiz at the end of the training session that goes over all 3 subjects. And 3. They will be given a survey after the session to assess the value they received from this training. Step 6. Instructional Strategy. Task 1. Learn about the GROW model of coaching. First, they will observe a video going over elements of the GROW model compiled from information from Mind Tools and Make Business Matter. Then, they will reflect on how this model is the same or different than what their current practice is during the reflective dialogue by writing a comparison list. Finally, they will create a list of 2 to 3 questions for each step of the GROW model that apply to the reflective dialogue and can become a part of their script. Task 2. Examine the concept of empathy as it applies to coaching sessions. First, they will listen to a presentation on empathy and why it's important in coaching. Then they will watch a short video of Brené Brown's TED Talk on empathy versus sympathy. Finally, they will complete a handout asking the specialist to reflect on how they can be more empathetic during their conversation with the candidates. Here is a sample of the Demonstrating Empathy worksheet. You'll see it asks questions like what assumptions or preconceptions are you bringing to the conversation that might make it difficult to listen with empathy, and what emotions do you anticipate your conversation partner might be feeling. Task 3. Explore the concept of active listening to discover why it's so important during a coaching session. First, they will view a presentation on listening during coaching sessions. Then they will watch a short video about active listening. Finally, they will fill out a questionnaire about their own listening habits during the coaching session. Here's an example of the listening handout. Some of the questions on this worksheet are, what can you do to increase your interest and commitment? And what can you do to ensure that the focus of the conversation is on others rather than yourself? Step 7. Instructional materials. Once this training gets approved, we will work on developing the materials to be used during the session. Steps 8 and 9. These are evaluation steps, which take place during and after the training session. While we don't have the full plan for post-training evaluation yet, we do know that we'll be able to use the PDS survey and verification visit survey to keep tabs on whether there are any behavioral changes. Where it'll live. Eventually, we'd like a fully functioning LMS as a platform for this training. In the meantime, though, we intend to teach this training via a live webinar using GoToMeeting. The entire training session would last about 20 minutes from beginning to end. Thank you for considering this proposal. We'll now open the floor for questions.